Bruh, I didn't even finish reading this before I started recording this because I knew this was going to be fucking hilarious. So, if you're not up on the situation, what happened was Emma Watson uh, said some stupid shit about transgenderism, I don't know, 7 years ago. Just being like, oh, trans people are who they say they are. And now she's kind of backtracking on that because, shocker, it's becoming unpopular all of a sudden. But anyway, J.K. Rowling responded to that, to Emma Watson having said that. Okay, so I want to read this and give my commentary because this is so funny, dude. Okay, by the way, I haven't read. I read until created right there at the lower. Okay. Anyway, this is by J.K. Rowling. I'm seeing quite a bit of comment about this, so I want to make a couple of points. I'm not owed eternal agreement from any actor who once played a character I created. The idea is as ludicrous as me checking in with the boss I had when I was 21 for what opinions I should hold these days. Facts. Emma Watson and her co-stars have every right to embrace gender identity ideology. Such beliefs are legally protected, and I wouldn't want to see any of them threatened with loss of work or violence or death because of them. Yeah, that's that's right. That's true. Okay. However, I'm sorry, this is just so funny to me. Okay. However, Emma and Dan in particular have both made it clear over the last few years that they think our former professional association gives them a particular right, nay, obligation, to critique me and my views in public. Years after they finished acting in Potter, they continue to assume the role of de facto spokespeople for the world I created. Interesting. Interesting and kind of embarrassing, but I digress. When you've known people since they were 10 years old and it's hard to shake a certain protectiveness. Until quite recently, I hadn't managed to throw off the memory of children who needed to be gently coaxed through their dialogue in a big scary film studio. For the past few years, I repeatedly declined invitations from journalists to comment on Emma specifically, most notably on the witch trials of J.K. Rowling. I think I listened to that. Ironically, I told the producers that I didn't want her to be hounded as a result of anything I said. The television presenter in the attached clip highlights Emma's all witches speech. I don't know about this all witches speech, but first of all, that just knowing that's part of the title, there's like a speech that Emma gave called All Witches. That's a little bit weird to me. Um, I was gonna say embarrassing, but I don't think I'll say embarrassing. I did just say it though. But I mean it is and it isn't. Like if she had been a much more reasonable person throughout these past multiple years, I think it would be kind of cool, but she hasn't been. So there's that. Okay, anyway. And in truth, that was a turning point for me, but it had a postscript that hurt far more than the speech itself. Emma asked someone to pass on a handwritten note from her to me, wow, which contained the single sentence, I'm so sorry for what you're going through. She has my phone number. Okay, that's very strange. That makes me think that she wanted to keep that interaction a secret because if she has her phone number, why the fuck would she give her a note? Anyway, this was back when the death, rape, and torture threats against me were at their peak, at a time when my personal security measures had to be tightened considerably and I was constantly worried for my family's safety. Wow. Wow. Imagine imagine being in that situation where you had to have increased security because of various threats from various people. and someone hands you a note that just says, I'm so sorry for what you're going through. Wow. Okay. Anyway, Emma had just publicly poured more petrol on the flames, yet thought a one-line expression of concern from her would reassure me of her fundamental sympathy and kindness. Wow. Okay. Like other people who've never experienced adult life uncushioned by wealth and fame, Emma has so little experience of real life she's ignorant of how ignorant she is. That's a fact. She'll never need a homeless shelter. She's never going to be placed in a mixed-sex public hospital ward. I'd be astounded if she's been in a high street changing room since childhood. I'm sorry, I don't know what that means. That must be something English. Her public bathroom is single occupancy and comes with a security man standing guard outside the door. Has she had to strip off a newly mixed sex changing room at a council-run swimming pool? I'm pretty sure that means like public. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of that here, which is a bummer. Is she ever likely to need a state-run rape crisis center that refuses to guarantee an all-female service? To find herself sharing a prison cell with a male rapist who's identified into the women's prison? See, that's what it is with these liberals, okay? These liberals only suddenly care about extremely serious issues the moment it affects them or someone they care about. They're annoying and obnoxious about it and like, oh, I don't think it's a big deal. This one girl, you know who you are. You know who you are, sweet thing. Your clue is poker. Anyway, this one girl I grew up with, I met, she was kind enough to meet up with me at one point when we hadn't been in touch for a long time. And I was telling her how I felt about transgenderism. And she kept laughing. She was laughing and laughing and laughing at me when I was saying my point, which was really fucking rude. I was just saying no one can change their biological, facts. No one can change their biological sex. It's predatory to prey on people who want these surgeries that we know for a fact do not work. We had the goddamn information from Sweden, I don't know, in 2003 and before that. But this woman that I was childhood friends with was laughing at me when I was just telling her my point. And finally, when I was done talking, she was like, well, why can't you just let people do what they want? I don't know, dipshit. Maybe because it's our duty as a society to decide what's right and wrong and let people try to act accordingly. Maybe that's why. Anyway, I wasn't a millionaire at 14. I lived in poverty while writing the book that made Emma famous. I therefore understand from my own life experience that what the trashing of women's rights in which Emma has so enthusiastically participated means to women and girls without her privileges. Shots fired! Pew, pew, pew! She said it. Okay, the greatest irony here is that had Emma not decided in her most recent interview to declare that she loves and treasures me, a change of tack I suspect she's adopted because she's noticed full-throated condemnation of me is no longer quite as fashionable as it was, I might never have been this honest. Adults can't expect to cozy up to an activist movement that regularly calls for a friend's assassination, then assert their right to the former friend's love, as though the friend was in fact their mother. Emma is rightly free to disagree with me, and indeed to discuss her feelings about me in public, but I have the same right, and I've finally decided to exercise it. Hell yeah. Okay. I guess we can watch this. Hold on. Hope it works.
I think we really are winning. But Emma Watson was careful, wasn't she, not to go too far. I think what she's going to find now is you can't sit on the fence. She was a real cheerleader for Mermaids, the charity, and for transitioning children and for people knowing.
I didn't know that. That's fucked.
who they are.
There's also kind of there's that clip of her at the BAFTAs.
I mean, I didn't know that she was specifically advocating for mermaids, which is really gross. But anyway.
And it was just kind of like a really snidey. There's that bit where she says, "I'm here for all the witches," like, but one. Or what, yeah, it was just nasty.
Yeah.
Right when J.K. Rowling was getting a lot of rape threats, death threats.
So whether she is trying to row back from that full heart.
Did she really say that? I'm here for all the witches except for one, implying it was J.K. Rowling? How rude.
Support for transitioning children, or whether she's just trying to get back in with J.K. Rowling in the hope of work. Who knows? Richard Dawkins is an interesting case because, I'm sure when he wrote The God Delusion, he thought that was quite out there. It turns out that saying men can't become women is even more out there. And who would have thought that? But he is someone whose career is so established that he's not at any risk. The real win is when ordinary people can say those things. And I don't think we're quite there yet.
Okay, interesting. Wow. Yeah, this has been fun, you guys. Is there anything else I want to say about this? Well, I guess this made me think of, hold on, let me see, what was it specifically? Just when she was saying that nay, obligation to critique me and my views in public. So when I stopped being pro-transgenderism, and I even told that to my trans friend, this other girl, I guess she was a woman, this mutual friend we had, started texting me because she heard from our trans friend that I said I was a radical feminist, which really just meant that I didn't support transgenderism anymore. This third party started messaging me, and she was like, blah blah blah, and I was like, what's going on here? Like, you're not a part of this. Why are you messaging me? And she said this delusional shit, which is what all these quote unquote activists are. She messaged me back and was like, well, since so-and-so is my only friend who's trans, it's my duty to defend him, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, fuck off. Because why can you imagine having an argument with someone? Or having some kind of conflict with someone, maybe over beliefs even, right? And a mutual acquaintance or friend, like, pops in and is like, hey, I want to offer my thoughts. Like, that's stupid. That's fucking stupid. Okay? Another thing I will say here is that I guess this is a perfect opportunity for it. Emma Watson is not normal. She had a very, very abnormal, honestly, I would say a very fucked up upbringing, a very fucked up life. Like, she was famous when she was way too young. We know for a fact how bad that is. Okay? It's not a secret. We've known for a long time. Very few people who have even slightly similar experiences to hers end up okay. I don't like saying that, but it's true. All right? So let's just remember that fact. Let's remember the fact that this person, Emma Watson, was traumatized as a child, traumatized by being in the public eye way too young. Yes, she was given a ton of money, but who cares? Money's not going to erase your trauma. Okay? But with that being said, this is why she's acting like that. No, it doesn't make it okay. But that's a freaking huge contributing factor. And Daniel Radcliffe's behavior is also pretty fucking disgusting and immature, but I digress. I'm grossed out that we have learned nothing. Because now there's going to be a new Harry Potter show. By the way, I have zero faith in that shit, honestly. I really do. Y'all, hit me up if you want to direct some Harry Potter shit, because I'm where it's at. But beside the point, I don't have faith in that. I think it's going to be a crappy show, but more fucking importantly, they're just exploiting a whole brand new batch of kids. And these kids, I don't know how they're going to do this. I don't know what the child labor laws are in England, but they're going to have to pump out these shows. There's going to be more content. There's more work to be done. And it's a fucking race against time, right? Because these kids are growing and they're going to make their plan is to do this, to have these kids from age 11 to age 17. HBO's plan is that. Way to go, you guys. Now you're just going to be messing with a whole brand new bunch of kids. That's not cool. I've gone off topic. But you guys understand my points. You guys hear me. I will say one last thing, and that's that, yeah, you may have had a messed up upbringing. You may have had had it all. I'm saying even Emma Watson aside, okay. Actually, not Emma Watson aside for a second. You shouldn't be behaving that way. You should not be behaving the way that she's behaving. That's embarrassing. That is embarrassing. That is embarrassing. That is embarrassing. That is embarrassing. Anyway, it is though. It's even, I would say it's even way the fuck more embarrassing for regular ass women to be behaving in favor of the trans cult, which many of them have, and many of them continue to do. And in favor of stupid shit that is not good for us as a society. Okay? Emma Watson is just one example. Look at all the examples we have now. Look at how many women fell for this delusion and how much it has messed up our world. Thanks for watching.